Early morning prog content, 6 a.m. I get a view of the city all to myself. And a show all for you. Talk about the 49ers defensive line today. Did you know that Drake Jackson played last season at only 252 pounds? He was light, and the 49ers have wanted him at 265 ever since they drafted him at number 61 back in 2022. Well, guess what? Drake Jackson is now at 265 pounds. Confirmed by Drake's dad, Dennis himself. Drake is looking strong for the 49ers this year, and they need him to look strong because he has to be able to stay on the field against the run. And that became a little bit of an issue last year. So you need to be a little bit stronger. And then for any rookie, it's so important to develop endurance after college football. The most games Drake ever played in the season for USC was 11. 49ers played 20 last year. So we look at all these rooftops. Look at this. Spectacular in Prague. Replica of the Eiffel Tower over there on top of that hill. But, you know, when you play only 11 in college and then all of a sudden you got 20 in the National Football League, well, that means those last few games, you know, that's beyond your limit. You learn, okay, I better get my body in better condition for the next go-round to be able to deliver at the level that you need to at the NFL level. And Drake Jackson learned he needed more endurance last year, and he learned he needed more strength. Remember, he was inactive for several of those games toward the end of the season. Well, this year, the goal is for Drake Jackson to be active, very obviously, and also it's for him to be a force opposite Nick Bosa, because you talk about the 49ers edge rushing position opposite Nick Bosa. I mean, just talk about the whole D-line. When we talk about the whole D-line, saw those guys at OTAs this past week. Javon Hargrave in the middle. Eric Armstead, healthy now. He's obviously a stud when health is on his side. Then you had Nick Bosa at one of the edge positions. The only thing stopping the 49ers from being 2019 caliber front line, and that wasn't supersonic defensive line, the only thing potentially in the way for the 49ers is that defensive end position opposite Nick Bosa, and that's where Drake Jackson slots in. At some point, the draft has to give you the answer. And Drake Jackson, if he is the answer at 265 instead of 252 this year, with a year of experience under his belt, the 49ers can be epically good along this defensive line. And I mean, even if he's not great, even if Drake is not great, the 49ers already have a really deep D line, I think deeper than last season. And, you know, that's not even assuming big time success from one of the projects like Robert Beal, right? The 5th round pick out of Georgia, who might really be a player for the 49ers in situational pass rushing spots with that 40 time. I mean, he's got the best burst off the line of scrimmage the 49ers measured this year. So this defensive line, though, if you can get that front line, the top four, to be supersonic again, and I think a lot of that relies on Drake Jackson. If that can happen this year, the sky's the limit for this defense. They were already the number one defense in the league last year, and that was with sketchy defensive tackle play. They have Javon Hargrave now. He's going to make everybody better, including somebody like Drake Jackson. So, I mean, it's an opportunity. It really is. To play for Chris Kasarik, to have this kind of talent surrounding him, it's an opportunity for something really special to happen this season for the 49ers up front, and we'll see if Drake Jackson's up for the challenge. Now, you look at the free agency market, a lot of people are like, well, if Drake is still a little bit of a question, why don't the 49ers add somebody like Robert Quinn, Yannick Ngakoue? And to that I say, it's totally possible. I've been talking about that as a possibility for quite some time now, right? But the 49ers have to operate within their cost structure. This team already has way over the cap and liabilities for 2024. You carry over unused space from 23 to 24. So if the 49ers feel that, somebody might not be quite worth it, especially if they're asking for too big of a salary here in 2023, to prevent themselves from having to blow up the team in 2024, they need to carry over as much money as possible. So they need to run a firm cost-benefit analysis of what's worth it and what's not to spend. And they can also be trying to drive a hard bargain on somebody like Ngakoue if that's who they ultimately want to sign. They can't just jump and sign him at first chance if they think they can get a better price a little bit later. The reason the 49ers have built the strongest roster in the NFL is because they have, bided their time, used the draft, taken, there have been some bad signings. Every team makes some inefficient signings, but they've limited those. And they've been able to efficiently build this roster. And if they're looking at an edge rusher in free agency, well, make sure you drive a hard bargain. Make sure that next acquisition is also an efficient one. All right, we're gonna sign off here from Prague. Walking down from the castle, I talked about this on the live this morning, but you've got these moving memorials here. This is for students who died when the communists took over in 1948. You see some of the stuff like on every corner. World War II memorials, people fighting back against the Nazis, obviously. And obviously the terrible communist regime here. You see so much as you walk through Prague, and it makes you, really appreciate what these people have gone through in just the last century, more than anything America's gone through in 3+ centuries of existence. So it's a spot for sure. It's this beautiful spot, and it's a spot with a ton of history that can teach us a lot of lessons. All right, everybody take care. Have a great rest of your weekend.